AskReddit asks, how would you feel about a law requiring parents that receive child support to supply the court with proof of how the child support money is being spent?
I would be for it. But, however, the reason why no law exists is because it would be insanely difficult and expensive to enforce. Think about it. Export the brand name cereal instead of the no-name brand? You see that on her grocery bill? No way. Not on my watch. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. You're laughing, haha. No way anyone would be so petty. No, enforcing accountability in child support provided expenses just opens up the worst legal can of worms imaginable. Edit. As for why I'd like to see it, I don't have any visibility into how my money gets spent and it irks me. Furthermore, my ex frequently rings up and asks for the next support payment early. Yes, oftentimes there are valid reasons. So-and-so needed shoes, fees for school trips, etc. But I also know she spends way above her means on a lot of fun, entertainment-based discretionary things. Then she realizes, whoops, can't buy groceries. Tee please? So she gets to be the fun parent. Well, kids, looks like we're going for long walks in the park again this weekend. Hooray for the library. Edit 2. Okay, 600 replies. Child support is contentious on Reddit. So far, the themes are, yes, it's 2017, we should have the technology to implement this. Maybe some magic debit card or EBT style. No, current child support departments are bunged up enough. This would kill them. Stop giving in to your ex. If she asks for money early in the future, just ask what she needs specifically and buy it for her. Then take that off the subsequent payment. Good idea. But, people are petty. So put a law like this in motion. But to prevent abuse, the cost for an audit is borne by the parent who asked for it, or variations on that. I like that idea. Artichoke sculpture. Okay, we got a sprog in here.
It's one of those things that sounds good in theory but will be too costly and impractical to do. Edit for clarification. For the people arguing with me. Yes, I already know there's no real way for it to work. I simply mean that it sounds good on the surface, but once you start trying to figure out how to do it, the whole idea falls apart.
Haha, no way anyone would be so petty. Nope, you will never find a larger collection of petty shitheads than in family court. Not all of them are, to be fair, but that is where you will find the grand champions. We're talking people who will throw a Category 5 shitstorm over the family dog, and then have it put down a week later because they know you liked it. There is no depth too low.
How much money would it waste reviewing and verifying this proof?
Yeah, in most cases it's just entirely impractical. Unless most of your income is from child support. Money is fungible. Prove you spent the money on the child. Okay, I spent child support money on rent and food, and I spent my regular income on a sports car.
An insane amount of money. And cheaters would still be able to fool the system if they really set their mind to it. So the proposal is pretty much awful.
How would you implement that? A parent has to pay for food for the child and themselves. Are you going to ask for 2 receipts each time? What about the cost of gas? Providing a home, electricity, internet, or TV expenses? Do you split all those up proportionally? I get the argument that the parent could spend all the money on themselves, but there's no good way to police it. Child support is supposed to go to everything that it requires to raise a child, which includes sports and clothes for them, but also a lot of shared expenses with the adult. Edit. A lot of responses saying, put it on a card that limits purchase types. Again, how would you implement an approved list of purchase types? It takes much more than food and clothes to raise a child. The point of child support is to make sure the child can maintain the lifestyle that would have been afforded to them if both parents were together. I had a TV in my room. Should child support pay for that? Well, if there was never a divorce, I probably would have had it anyway, so child support should go towards that. What about a vacation? I only ever vacationed with my custodial parent. Should child support help to pay my plane ticket? Child support isn't just to ensure that I wasn't on the street. It's meant to maintain the lifestyle that was planned for me when both parents were together.
Because it would suddenly turn that everything but bare necessities is an unaffordable luxury.
My friend's father threw a tantrum when he saw that he got new shoes because second-hand is enough, not that he himself bought his wardrobe here. Refused to pay for any vacations, edit. Boy Scouts camp, or repair his bike.
This is a common argument from men who care more about their money than their children.
Yeah, the courts heard it all from my dad every couple of years. No, you can't count my new wife's income when you calculate my payments. But doesn't 14-year-old daughter have a job babysitting or something? You should count her income toward lowering my payments. That was a great one because after having 5 hours of his life wasted, the judge lowered the payment amount by exactly $1 just to end it. Edit. I don't want to sound like a dick, but I know I will anyway. Why the hell would you give gold for this?
The husband eventually won and he smashed it on the steps of the courthouse in front of the ex-wife.
Be free of hate,
and free to wait, and hope you do it right,
and never underestimate the depths of human spite.
A lot of people don't understand this. I've seen people say that child support should only go to food, clothing, school supplies, etc. for the child. Well, what happens when the parent is a little short on electric or water? Are they supposed to not pay it because it isn't listed above? Same with gas. It might be filling up the parent's car, but it's used by the child as well.
An insane amount of money. And cheaters would still be able to fool the system if they really set their mind to it. So the proposal is pretty much awful.
Deadbeat parents will devote more time and brainpower to gaming the system than getting a better job to pay for it.
Because then they'd be admitting defeat. Win at all costs.
A family law professor of mine said she once had a couple rack up almost $1,000 in legal bills arguing who got the shitty old barbecue in a divorce.
This is a common argument from men who care more about their money than their children.
Yeah. The courts heard it all from my dad every couple of years. No, you can't count my new wife's income when you calculate my payments. But doesn't 14-year-old daughter have a job babysitting or something? You should count her income toward lowering my payments. That was a great one because after having 5 hours of his life wasted, the judge lowered the payment amount by exactly $1 just to end it. Edit. I don't want to sound like a dick, but I know I will anyway. Why the hell would you give gold for this?
I saw a comment in an AskReddit thread before about pettiness where a couple literally spent thousands of dollars on lawyers arguing over who got a shitty old ashtray in a divorce. Apparently it had sentimental value. The husband eventually won and he smashed it on the steps of the courthouse in front of the ex-wife. He didn't really care about it at all, just didn't want her to have it. Edit. Shout out to you, Hot Rod Lincoln, for finding the exact comment. https www.reddit.com/r/askreddit_lawyers_of_what_of_some_of_of_of/csfbzj3/closing parenthesis I was referencing.
Not as bad as the one I saw here last week. Couple spent thousands fighting over the pet. Wife finally wins custody, and has it put down.
Annoyed, the most recently released census data shows that about 3/4, 74.1% of custodial parents who were due child support in 2013 received either full or partial payments and less than half, 45.6%, received full payments. Meaning that 25% of parents due child support don't receive payments at all and an additional 25% did not receive the full payments that were due. That should be addressed first. Source: www.census.gov/content/dam/library/publication/2016/demo/p60-255. PDF.
I just tried to upvote you twice. The whole deal with parents trying to get out of their responsibility for the children and starting a new life is part of what drove me from my parents. I get that adults are entitled to remarry and try to be happy.
But when you dump your kids because your new SO takes up all of your time,
and the SO doesn't pitch in,
you're fucked up.
And you fucked up.
My real dad or stepdad never paid child support because 1.
My mom never went after it. And 2.
She refused it when they offered because she didn't want to be on the hook for the money.
I get it.
But I was really poor growing up. She could have gotten a lot of money, $2,000 per mo, from my real dad.
And she had evidence to support that he was unsafe, so he probably wouldn't have gotten any visitation. I understand and respect her not wanting to gamble on my safety.
But shit.
We needed the money. Around when I turned 23.
He opened an account for me and started putting money in it. But was pissed when I was spending it on living expenses in my last semester of college. Studying for my board exam.
Edit, he didn't tell me this when we opened the account. He just started giving me money.
What he wanted was for me to save it so I could fly to the Philippines to visit him and his 24-year-old mail-order bride. Anguished face when I was 17. My mom assumed I was old enough and working enough to take care of myself. And would vanish to her BFs for weeks at a time.
I was able to low-key move out at 18 and she didn't notice until a month after I moved.
She didn't notice I moved out. TLDR, your kids know you're a shitbag.
And they don't forget.
Just having it be a card instead of cash would go a long way to stop it from going to drugs. Edit. Wow, this blew up quick. Anyway, to respond to a few people, I know you still can abuse it for these kinds of things, but it would make it a lot harder to.
The court system does not have time to babysit everyone who receives child support. I also dislike the idea that under this model there's a presumption that child support money is misspent. There should only be monitoring after a showing of misconduct.
Thank you. I think a lot of posters here are confusing bad people and bad parenting with a bad system. If someone is horrible enough to mistreat their child, there are bigger issues than just nitpicking their receipts.
Also rent. If the parent has to rent a 2BR instead of a 1BR apartment so the child has their own room, can the child support payment go towards the difference in rent? How do you even document that? Child support isn't a special pot of money that you draw from when you need to buy the kid something. It supports the life of the child and all associated expenses, many of which are shared.
Or if the parent has to spend more on gas for their work commute because they get a place in a better school district.
IMO. No, I pay my daughter's father. And trust he does what is best. If their family is struggling with expenses, so is my daughter because she is part of that family too. That's just how I see it. Now, if they went and got into a bunch of financial trouble that was just completely unnecessary, and he couldn't bounce back, maybe that would be grounds to get full custody through the courts. If he couldn't balance the budget appropriately, it would no longer be in her interest to keep her in that household.
100% agreed with this. At some point, lacking basic financial responsibility becomes a custody issue, and should be handled in those terms rather than via financial micromanagement.
Yup, this sums it up perfectly. Also, what is the separation between child support money and your own money? I can't imagine people having to shop and say, oh, put this on this card, that's for the judge, and put the other items on this card. As you brought up with the grocery bill, would that open up new problems such as generic versus brand, healthy food versus junk food? It seems like this stems from someone thinking their ex is wasting the child support money. No one is getting rich off child support.
I know it's late, but I'll send you some pants, Mark eyed it. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger.
Send him women's pants.
Who decides whether taking a child to Chuck E. Cheese is appropriate eyes of money? Keep the government away from citizens' lives. Not only should the government not decide what people do with their money, they shouldn't decide who gets to raise the kids versus who pays for them. Children who grow up under child support welfare are more likely to live their adult lives and raise kids under the same conditions. And so on, leading to more Democrat voters who see the government as a parental figure.
Sends him women's pants.
No, most of the single parents I know are just barely coping. Juggling kids, housework, often study and everything else. Someone thinks it is a good idea to add to the burden and make it stressful. Hard job more so?
Someone thinks it is a good idea to add to the burden and make us stressful. Hard job more so? Make that bitch jump through a few demeaning, labor-intensive hoops if she wants to get her paws on my hard-earned cash. That's the actual agenda here. Let's be clear. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and above all, have an excellent day, you marvelous people.